Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar on WordPress security by Marco. I'm Anna from GreenGeeks, and welcome. Real quick before we start, I want to say a couple of words about GreenGeeks. For those of you who are watching us and are not familiar with GreenGeeks, we're a 300% green energy web hosting provider, which means we put back 3 times the power we consume into the grid in the form of renewable energy. We have been recognized by the US EPA since 2009 as a Green Power Partner, and we offer share hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated server. So now moving on to the webinar, I just want to say a few things about the webinar. If you have questions, can you please put them in the Q&A? Marco will be answering them at the end of the presentation. You're welcome to chat in the chat room. Remember to select all panelists and attendees if you want everybody to see what you are discussing. And as always, you know we are recording this, so don't worry if you have to step away. We will send you a recording in the next few days. Now I'm going to introduce the team who's here today joining us from GreenGeeks. Erica Barbosa. Would you like to introduce yourself, Erica?
Hi, Anna, Marco, and everyone. My name is Erica Barbosa. I am from Costa Rica. I work in the partners team. I'm going to be in the chat, reading your comments and sharing some information. I hope you enjoy today with Marco in this webinar.
Thank you. And then I'm going to introduce, well, I'm not going to introduce Marco. I'm going to let Marco introduce himself and start the webinar.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I forgot my banner, just remembered, but it's okay. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Marco Berukau. I am a senior WordPress developer, and I also work for GreenGeeks for partner relations. And I think this is my second webinar this year. I don't even know, but always exciting to do these kind of topics. Today, we're going to discuss security. It's going to be like the second part. And I'm really excited because this was actually an idea from one of you guys. So, you know, we decided to muster something up and do something that tackles a real scenario. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. And I am going to discuss, I'm going to talk a lot, but also I'm going to do some stuff so that you guys can actually see what to do in case something happens, right? So let's get my screen started, and let's go to my presentation over here, and now let's hit the play button. Okay, so today's webinar, and let me move Anna and Erica for a bit because they're here, and I need to see them here. And okay, so as usual, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box or in the Q&A section, and I will address them at the end of this webinar. So today we are going to discuss, avoiding issues and steps to take if you get into trouble. First of all, we already had a previous webinar as to security was concerned. I'm going to discuss briefly what we said there in case you guys missed it, but the webinar was more or less, the steps that you can actually do to bolster your security, the recommendations that you can actually follow in order to lock things down and in order to keep the bad guys out there, so that you could avoid, if possible. I know sometimes life doesn't work out that way, and sometimes you are not prepared or you didn't follow this webinar. But the thing is, I left the link here. This will open the link to a YouTube video where I had that webinar. But in all essence, I'm going to discuss still what we talked about in that webinar. Well, we discussed, that the bad guys are definitely out there. There's a lot of malicious users out there that they just want to create havoc on your site, or they are just having fun, or they want to steal actual information that's valuable to you. You always have to think of it and look at it that way. There's definitely bad people out there, and they might want to, like I said, create kitty damage, or they want to actually, extort you for money and ask you for a ransom fee so that you can get your data back. Those type of things, they do happen. And the bigger you are, the more likely that you become a threat because you become more noticeable, and thus your information is more valuable to you. So you always have to see it from the perspective that the bad people out there, and they want to break your stuff and do bad stuff out there. The second stuff we think we discussed is how secure WordPress is. WordPress gets a lot of flack because it's not safe, because it's built on PHP, because of this and that. And I would say for the most part, when used correctly, WordPress is pretty secure, but you have to take the measures, the necessary measures in order to lock things down. Now, no security is 100% foul-proof. I like to quote a friend of mine who said that when I asked him, is our stuff secure? And he said, well, my house is secure, but if tomorrow a helicopter is invented that can actually tow, it has a giant magnet and it takes your house elsewhere, there's no safeguard against that yet. So, as the web evolves, new threats come up, new exploits happen. So it's always a cat and mouse game, if you want. And for the most part, WordPress is secure. But like I said, it gets a lot of bad rap because it's a huge and popular content management system out there. So naturally, this is going to attract a lot of people who want to steal your information. It's just the same story as with Windows. Windows has a bad reputation of being an insecure system, when the reality is that it's so many people using it that it obviously becomes a thing that attracts more and more people in order to exploit it. Okay. We also said that your hosting matters. Hosting matters, service update matters, what the response time is going to be should you get into trouble, if there are any tools out there. Speaking of which, I'd like to give a brief parenthesis. We just launched a nice little tool that we're going to roll out pretty soon, which will allow you to automatically fix some of the security issues that you may have when it comes to WordPress. So let's say your site is broken, or it doesn't work, or you're locked out, or it's just behaving incorrectly. This tool will allow you to run it, and this tool is going to fix like 90% of your issues. I think it's a pretty neat tool. I think it's pretty cool because it's going to save you a lot of work time. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. And for the most part, it's going to solve a lot of your problems. But it's still not 100% live as far as the dashboard is concerned. You can ask for it if you are a customer of ours and you notice that your site is behaving a little bit incorrectly. You can open a support ticket and we will handle that for you behind the scenes. I just wanted to say this because it's a coincidence that we're doing this webinar and we just launched this tool. So stay tuned, because we are going to have it via the dashboard pretty soon. So hey, it's a cool feature. Like I said, it's us, having your back, supporting you in case something happens. So hosting definitely matters, and with this, I also think that our support team and our entire company is pretty compassionate about the fact that some sites might get broken, and we will most likely have encountered this scenario before, and we can more or less assess what you need to do on your end to fix your site. I will never forget that, I have a hosting account with GreenGeeks as well. And out of the day, I was contacted by our abuse team saying that I had some suspicious software on my site. And I was like, whoa, what happened here? And it turns out I scanned it and I had a bad plugin in there. And I don't know how they got there, but, I was pretty amazed because they didn't know I worked for GreenGeeks. And they still contact me out of the blue and say, hey, listen, you need to fix your site. You need to correct your stuff and, get going with that. So, I fixed it, and I was pretty surprised because I have also worked with other hosting companies and nobody has ever contacted me before about that. So I felt pretty surprised. It was a really, pleasure to see our own support staff contacting me about, about security. So hosting definitely matters, and if the company has taken this to heart, it's really important that you stick with them. And if not, I would recommend for you to look for other options out there. So we also discussed the importance of backups. We are going to retake this option today. The backups, I'm going to show you more or less, what backup options are out there available, what the differences are, pricing, what the differential backup is, what a complete site backup is, what a database backup is, and the likes, because not all backup solutions are the same, and not all scenarios are going to be, unique. So I'm gonna go over a few scenarios, and in the end, what you should have is a general view of what the backups can do and what suits your needs best. So in the end, this is about you, and this is about you taking decisions as to what you need to do. Okay, we also discussed things you can do without plugins, like updating WordPress, like core plugins, working with themes and plugins, what to look out for, how to get good, reliable plugins and not compromise, because in the end, plugins and themes are pieces of code that you don't know what they do. So you have to be cautious about that fact, because you don't know what's inside that code, and some of that code might be vulnerable, and next thing you know, your site is completely exposed. So, it's always recommended that you follow best practices when it comes to themes and plugins. Check, when the plugin was last updated, what the reviews are. Google the plugin with the word security to see if there's any exploits out there. Do some research before you actually go with a plugin, as opposed to, just blindly follow it and download it off the internet. We also discussed that you have to remove things that you don't use, like, for example, plugins that are not in use, themes that are not in use, files that are not in use. Have an SSL installed. Like I said, at GreenGeeks, you can also get an SSL certificate absolutely for free. This will safeguard the information that travels back and forth between yourself and your visitors. So these were all things that you can actually do without plugins, right? We also discussed users. What privileges are, what an administrator is, what an editor is, subscriber. And in this, you have to follow a principle that we follow in software when you come to develop, which is the least amount of privileges to get the job done. So always grant your users the least amount of privileges that they need in order to do what they must. So this is to say that you shouldn't assign everybody as an administrator if you don't completely trust your users. Enforce passwords, that are difficult to guess. And when the user leaves the company, make sure that you disable that user, and you don't have so many users sitting out there that you don't know what their passwords were and if they are in fact getting hacked. Okay. Next up, I'm sorry. Next up, we discussed the htaccess file, which is a special hypertext access file. This is basically a server file that every time you go to a website on WordPress reads it, and it reads the directives or the instructions within that file in order to do stuff with it. It's a hidden configuration file, Apache configuration file. Apache is like the engine that makes PHP possible. You can disallow, for example, directory browsing so that people can't see, what content is in your uploads. You can disable, you can put passwords on certain directories, like, for example, the WP admin. So when you log in, instead of putting your WordPress and your password, you can also put another level of security using your htaccess file. So that makes it even harder for people to sneak in. You can also protect sensitive files so that people from the outside can't execute them, and so forth. We also discussed SSL, database certificates. I already addressed this. Have one, make sure it's installed, and absolutely do it. It's free of charge, and this is something that you can definitely take advantage of if you're a GreenGeeks customer. Second to last but not least, the database. Make sure that your database tables are not the default, which is the WP_, which is what gets installed by default. At GreenGeeks, we put a few characters there. We rename them for security purposes, because this way, if an attacker goes into your site, he doesn't know what the table names are, and thus it makes it even harder for people to execute malicious queries. Oh, I'm sorry. I opened that by mistake. And last but not least, we discussed some plugins. We discussed security, WordFence, iThemes, and stuff of the like. I configured some of the plugins in order to lock things down. So that was really it, what we discussed previously. I just wanted to go briefly over that so you guys know more or less what was said. And like I previously mentioned, this is useful in order to lock things down, in order to bolster that castle think of it as Game of Thrones, before the army is arriving. We are stacking everything up. We are safeguarding. We're protecting the walls. We're doing everything to keep the bad guys out there. But life doesn't work like that. And sometimes people will get in and you have absolutely no safeguards. So this is what this webinar is more or less about. So what are we going to need? Aside from your GreenGeeks account, you're going to have a WordPress site running. You're going to need any theme and plugins are okay. You're going to need access to your site using FTP. This is a protocol that allows you to connect to your server remotely, and maybe some coding and service stuff, definitely, for sure. Okay. So the first thing we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss backups again. Like seriously, you need to have backups. This is something that you need to consider before you even start having a website out there. So I listed 7 options out here, and I am going to discuss them. I'm going to install them. I'm going to configure them so you can more or less see what they do, right? So the important thing here is to consider what the options are. I mean, what can I do with this backup solution? And if it's something that I want to do, but the solution doesn't offer it, it's best to just skip it altogether and find something that does. Okay. So the first option I am going to discuss is the WordPress backup solution. So I'm going to go into my website here. I have this, hold on. I have this website over here. It's the website I use always. It's this one over here. You can excuse me, but I currently, so I have this website, and I hope this is the password. Is it? It is not. Maybe it's this one. Okay, cool. So I am going to zoom this. Oh, I forgot to do something. That's right, because my monitor is huge. So let me change this to a bigger resolution so that you guys can actually see things. And here we go. That should do it. Okay, cool. So then let's go this over here. Okay, so I have this WordPress site. I'm going to open it here. It's just a WordPress site I was fiddling with. And this is the site that I have. Okay, nothing special. We are going to wipe this site out. We're going to hack it in parentheses. But first of all, I'm going to back things up before I do. So it's a pretty standard website. It has Elementor. It has, I think, only myself as the user. And that's about it. This site, it's a pretty simple one. It's a pretty simple project I was working on. So the first thing you can actually do, the first option that WordPress offers to back up, it's this one over here. If you go under tools and you go to export, WordPress will allow you to export what you want. So here you can choose by custom post type, or you can choose all content. What it does is it downloads an XML file, as you can see over here. So if you save this file and you, for example, install it or you get hacked and your content disappears, this is a quick and an easy way to just, get things going, because once you have your website up and running, you can go to the import tab over here and you select the last option over here, which is this one, the import post, pages, comments, custom fields, categories, and tags from WordPress export file. If we take a look at this site over here, hold on. If we take a look at this site, this file over here, it's this XML file, which is a lot of gibberish, but it more or less what it does is it just saves the post information. It saves the metadata. It saves things that are related to text. So as you can see, you know where I'm going with this. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's just content. And this is something that if you don't mind like losing your images, or if you have a source of truth when it comes to your images, I mean, this is a really cheap way of doing it because it's absolutely free. It's free, but the downside is that it offers no automated solution. So you're going to have to get in here and you're going to have to do it X amount of times. I usually, or most likely, use this option over here when I'm installing a WordPress site from scratch. When I'm doing something fresh, that I, as a developer, am actually doing, because I have everything I need. I have the theme, I have the files, I have everything I need in order to do this. But sometimes I need the client's content. So what I do is I get into the client site and I run this tool and I export it and then I import it before I start working on my own project. So if you are a developer, this is a good and easy way to get things going, as opposed to copying the entire site. We're going to get into more complete backup solutions in a bit. So I'm going to install this, and then I'm just going to run the importer. It's a pretty basic a thing. I mean, it's just this. It's this. You run it, and it's going to upload the file in import. It's going to ask me if I want to assign posts to a new user. It also gives you the option of downloading and importing file attachments. But word to the wise, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It really depends if it can connect to your server and download these images or not. I would say 80% of the times it doesn't work. It's not going to work. So that's why I told you guys it's just for text only. And this is something that I don't put my hands on the fire for it as a complete backup solution. So if you hit submit, mine is going to fail because it has a lot of duplicate content. So if I'm going to go this, it's going to tell me exactly this, that all these media files already exist. And the rest, whatever was imported, it's going to say, yeah, it's good. It's all done. Have fun. So like that, I just imported and exported the site. And now I have like a backup solution in place. But again, it's not a complete solution, and it's something that's pretty quick and easy to do. All right. The second option is UpDraftPlus. Now, this is a very nice option. This is a very nice option because it offers a lot of things out of the box that most solutions do not. So I'm going to hit the backup thing over here, and it's going to probably come up first, or in the first row. It's going to come up first. So as you can see, it was last updated a week ago, 3+ million active installs, 4,000 reviews, compatible with my current version of WordPress. So, hey, it looks good, right? So I'm going to install it. I'm going to install it. That's a little bit big. Okay. And now I'm going to activate it. So once I activate it, I'm going to go into the settings of it, right? Let me deactivate this guy. And let me delete this guy. Delete this guy. We're going to get there in a bit. Sorry, it's just that yesterday and the days before I had to actually do this. So you can either go to settings and UpDraftPlus backups, or you just go settings over here. So what this is going to do is, so first of all, it's going to tell me that I have no backups and I can back up now, right? So I can back up now. I'm going to hit the backup solution. And what is this going to include? So UpDraftPlus allows me to include my database for backup. It includes my files for backup, plugins, themes, uploads, and any other directories found inside WP content. Now, here's where things get interesting, right? Because if you have a lot of files, your backup is going to get heavier, right? I mean, if you have a lot of images, it's going to get heavier. So here you have to assess, because some of these solutions offer you a size limit, like, for example, 500 megabytes or 1 gigabyte, or others don't have a limit at all. So if you are comfortable with this, you're going to have to make some decisions. Like, for example, do I really need the plugins backed up? Do you? I mean, I tend to think of plugins and uploads as things that are not sources of truth. And what do I mean by that? By that, I mean that the images or the files that you have, you got them off somewhere, be this your computer, the internet, someone else emailed them to you. So those files are somewhere. So if you go ahead and say, you could go ahead and say, well, I'm not going to need my files because I already have them on my computer. And worst comes to worst, I'm just going to upload them again should my site get hacked and should I restore my website. So you can go ahead and do that. And it's the same with the plugins. With the plugins, you can say, oh, I will just download the plugins that I'm going to need, and that's it. So why do I need to back up the plugins? Because all of this adds to the total size of it. So you are going to have to make those decisions. You're going to have to say, okay, maybe I can get rid of the plugins. I'm not going to need them. And the uploads, I am definitely not going to need this. This option over here, send this backup to remote storage. Now, this is really important because you would think that the logical solution would be, okay, I'm just going to back that up where my website is. I'm just going to put that in a special folder called backup or something, and I'm just going to dump them there. And that's all great, but you have to think of the helicopter scenario, right? Like what happens if not only your WordPress stuff gets compromised, but also your FTP credentials and your access to your web server. So if that gets compromised, then the attacker might just get in there and just wipe your information out and say, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to dump it, and that's that. So it's always wise to put your backups in a remote storage that is not your server, right? So you can have either another server running, you can have another hosting plan just for that, or you can use one of the solutions out there that are pretty good, they're pretty decent. Like, for example, Dropbox offers that, or Google Drive, they have like 15 gigabytes of limit, and you can just dump your backups inside your Google Drive directory. You can have one just for that, and you're just going to put it there, and you know for sure that it's going to get up, it's going to be backed up there, and you have plenty of limit or size in order to deal with multiple backups. So we're going to cancel this for now. We're going to cancel this because I just wanted to get that out of the way before I started to do that. The migrate clone is it's to create a copy as is of your website. So you can upload this to Updraft clone, and what you do is, in case of an emergency, in case you create a copy, if you want to duplicate your site and you get hacked, you can extract that copy and you can put it on your website and be up and running in no time. You can actually do that with UpDraftPlus. But, and here comes the but, these things are usually not free. So with UpDraftPlus, you're going to have to buy it from their shop. It's like an add-on that you can use. I don't know what the cost is, but you're going to have to buy that in order to take advantage of that feature. I mean, it's really cool if you think about it, because you can clone your site as is, and then you can just import it, and your site will be, voila, it's going to be exactly as it was before you get compromised, or any given day before that. But that comes at a cost, right? So this is something that you can do if you want to. The settings option, and this is another feature that you have to take it into consideration when you're backing things up. So do you want to do it manually, or do you want to do it automatically? So chances are you want to do it automatically, because you don't want to be doing this every day, right? You want to do it X amount of time, and you want to retain how many backups. So again, think of the size and think of the of the scenario. Like the higher this number is, the more files you will have, and this is going to add up to your total space. So in here, I can't give you a hard and fast recommendation. For busy sites, I would definitely recommend doing it daily or weekly. But for sites that you don't update a lot as far as content and images is concerned, I would go ahead and do it monthly, maybe once a month or fortnightly. Think of things of that, that is not very, very frequent, right? So if you take a look at your Google Analytics, or take a look at your service stats and see how frequent how many visitors your site has, and how much stuff do you actually post. Do you post every week? Do you post every day? Do you hardly post at all? Do you put any information out there at all? Yeah, definitely. Again, this is talking about sites that are not e-commerce related. For sites that are e-commerce related, if you have transactions, if you have stuff going on, I definitely recommend reducing this to every 2 hours or so, because this way you will have all the transactions, you're going to have everything that you're going to need in order to not lose them, right? So this is really, really important. And how many copies should you retain? I usually go ahead and do with a number that's between 2 and 4. And the reason I say this is because you definitely don't want 1, because if you have 1 and that one doesn't work, then you are going to be stuck with the same problem. So you definitely want to go with 2 or more, because you will have, if one of those copies is corrupted or something didn't go right, chances are some of them will be as well. So I typically go with 4, because if the period is very extensive, right? Because if you think about this is, if you add this scenario over here, like monthly and 4, it's going to have backups for the last 4 months, pretty much. So chances are that if my recent backup doesn't work, the one from 3 to 4 months ago would. So, the information that I'm going to lose might not matter that much so long it works. So always play with that scenario. So busy sites every X amount of hours, and this definitely should go a little bit up. It's up to you, but this is something that you need to assess and feel comfortable with. So it's like a balance. You have to play with this, and you have to take that into consideration. And it's the same thing with the database. The only plus side with a database is that a database shouldn't be very high as far as size is concerned. It shouldn't go over 100 megabytes, or unless you have a very, very large site. But again, a database backup is something that for busy sites, again, every hour, do you have transactions going on? Do you have e-commerce going on? Then you definitely need to run this every hour. And you should retain how many scheduled backups. So if you do like this, 24, you're going to have backups for a day, pretty much. Okay? You're going to have backups for 1 day only at a time. So after a day, they're going to get deleted. So you can only go back 1 day. So again, think of the space that you're going to have available to store or dump your backups remotely, and think about the frequency of them, because all of that is going to add up, which is the reason why, and this is, again, it's something that, of course, you got to make money off of it, is because UpDraftPlus has a premium version that allows you, for example, to get a differential, an incremental backup. So this is an incremental backup solution. So what does that mean? It basically means that, for example, let's say I did a backup and it was 1 gigabyte big, right? And the following day, let's say Anna wrote a blog post, and then the following day, Erica blocked another post. She did another post. So I have 2 posts in 2 days. So instead of doing the gigabyte backup plus whatever they did, it's just going to grab that piece of information that Anna did one day, and it's going to add the one that Erica did the other, and it's just going to add that up to your existing backup. That's what the differential backup really is. It's going to grab the differences between one and the other, and it's going to put that into the master one, into the main one. So that's really a cool feature, because if you think about it, if you go ahead over here, it's not going to add that much to the total space size, because this over here, if my backup, let's say, let's do some math here. If I do this every 2 hours and I retain 10 copies of this, right? If I do this, this is going to do 20 backups a day. It's going to do 20 backups a day. It's going to do 20 backups. Wait, no. Yeah, it's going to retain 20 backups, and each backup is 1 gigabyte. It's going to be 20 gigabytes of backups. So that is a lot of information. So the add-on here, what it will do is it's going to tag that difference to the main file. So it's not going to be 20 gigabytes. It's just going to be 1 point whatever it is that you added. So it's something that it's going to allow you to save space, but at the same time, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to go with the premium route. I don't know how much the premium costs. I think it's, let's find out. I don't know. Yeah, let's leave. So the premium is, like I said, it's a costly solution. It's like $195 a year, and then $117 a year. So again, this is something that you need to assess whether it's worth your dime or not. It's worth your money or not. I personally, for backups, I think it is, it's really important. So it's, again, if this is a feature that you absolutely like, then go ahead and purchase it. It has a lot more options out there. It has incremental. You can clone your site. Like I said, it's just like taking a photography of your website and then you store it somewhere else. And then if you get into trouble, you will have everything as is. It has fast and personal support, pre-update backups. This is really a cool feature because sometimes some sites with WordPress can break before you do an update, and after you do it, they break. I've seen it happen. So what this does is it will guarantee that it will do a backup for you before you actually update, plugins and themes or WordPress core. This is also a cool feature if you have, like, for example, files that are not related to your WordPress installation. Like, for example, on this side over here, I have screencasts. I have videos saved there, so it can do that. Multi-site, you can schedule it, CLI support and the like. Okay, so once you are definitely ready, like for example, this is just server information. As you can see, the table prefix that we do in GreenGeeks, it's not going to be the WP underscore, but it's going to be WP, and we add some stuff to it. And it's going to tell me all the stuff, the service stuff that I'm going to need. It's not really important, but it's out there. So the settings over here, and let's say I am comfortable doing it daily, and I want to retain just a week of backup. So I'm going to do it 7, and database, I'm also going to do 7 and 7. So basically here, what I'm saying is I'm going to have a week's worth of backups. And after that, they're going to get deleted. So the second option that's really important is you choose your remote storage. What do you want to do? So UpDraftPlus, obviously, it's worth money. FTP, like I said, you're going to either use another GreenGeeks account, or you can use another hosting provider just for FTP purposes in order for the backup solution to upload your files there. S3, it's Amazon. If you have an Amazon bucket, you can actually go ahead and do it. Amazon offers space at a very, very low cost. So if this is a subscription that you can actually do, go ahead and do it. I mean, the cost is really ridiculously low because that's what Amazon does. I mean, they offer that. Oh, they have it here as well. So it's a bucket. It's basically like a huge Dropbox that you pay as you go. So the more files you use, the more you get billed. Dropbox, I mean, for those of you who use it, you can go ahead and click on that. Azure, I've never used that before. OpenStack, never used it. And SFTP, SCP, this has to do with the FTP protocol, but in a secure manner. Dream Objects is from another hosting provider, as well as Rackspace. Google Cloud, never used it. Email, I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat. If you want to email that huge chunk of file to yourself, you can go ahead and do it. But again, I wouldn't advise it because email is not the best protocol to transfer so much information. Google Drive, I think it's going to be my preferred option, or Microsoft OneDrive. And the reason for that is I pay for Office. I have an Office subscription, and they give me like a terabyte absolutely free. So a terabyte is more than enough to do it. So yeah, why not? I mean, I can just go ahead and click on that, and I just, but I think it's an add-on that is not free. That's a bummer, right? Yeah. Let's see how much it costs. Let's see how much it costs. It's $15. So for $15, I can use Microsoft OneDrive. So not all of these options are for free. I think the only ones free is Google, Dropbox, and S3. I'm not 100% sure, but the OneDrive is pretty neat because I can pay for $15 and then I'll have a lot of space. I'll have a gigabyte if you have an Office subscription like I do. But I'm going to go ahead and use Google Drive, right? I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to scroll down, and what do I want to include? Again, do I want to include the plugins? Probably not. Do I want to include the uploads? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, okay? And any other directories. Do you want to exclude these directories? Yes, I do. Do you want any other includes file inside? Yes, I want to exclude these. Encryption. Do you want to have a basic report? This is really important because sometimes when it's automated and it fails, you want to know. So if you forget to check this box, you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's good that you check this box because it will let you know if something went wrong. So it's always good to check this box, and you just save the changes, and it should do a backup. But now it's going to take me to Google Drive, and it's going to ask me to sign in. Again, you're going to have to use a Google account, and like that, you just follow the wizard, and you're going to say complete setup, and then you go ahead and say, yay, it's done. So it's green, files, and that's it. So it's preparing to do my backups, right? And just like that, I have my backup solution up and running, and I'm good to go. Now, what is the downside of this, apart from the money, is that in case I get compromised, I'm going to have to do all the manual work myself. Like, for example, I'm going to have to clone the database, I'm going to have to import the media, and I have to upload the files and whatnot. But at least I have a copy of that, and that is good. Okay, so that's it for UpDraftPlus. I'm sorry I spoke so long. Backup Buddy is another solution, but the thing with Backup Buddy is that it's not free. It's not free, and this is something that is done by iThemes. iThemes is a company that is all about security and cloning your stuff. So you're gonna have to download this plugin off-site, and you can't try it out. You cannot try it out. They don't offer you the option to do this. And let me go over here, Backup Buddy. And here it is. So this is the Backup Buddy option, and you're just going to have to read what's on this page and watch the video in case you want to go for it. Okay, because like I said, it's not something you can actually install from the WordPress repository. You can't go to plugins and look for it and install it. You're going to have to do it through here, or you're going to have to do it through their plugins, the iThemes security plugin. So you buy it. I mean, again, it's quite the investment. Like the cheapest one is $80, and it's up to you if you want to do it or not. It's 1 gigabyte of Backup Buddy stash storage. And what can I do with it? It's really important that you read that. And where is it? Oh, it's over here. So what does it do? It has malware scanning, deleted files, hacks. So it has a lot of options out there that perhaps the UpDraftPlus doesn't. So here you can see what it can update. It can backup. It can back up your pages, posts, widgets, theme files, settings, database users, like pretty much everything, So again, this is a really cool solution if you want to go for it. But again, it comes at a cost. Okay, so it allows you to restore your site, store your WordPress backups offsite. So again, it offers the same things that UpDraftPlus does, but it's more of an automated solution for you to just set it and forget it. So again, if you want to go for it, I mean, I absolutely recommend it hands-on. The second one is BlockVault. BlockVault is interesting because, and let me go ahead. BlockVault is really interesting because it's a SaaS. It's an SaaS. It's a software as a service. So you can't configure it on your WordPress dashboard. It stores and creates your backups, and it installs it somewhere else. It also offers a malware scan tool, but it's a bit cumbersome to navigate through it. I was like, okay, it's cool, but it's not really user friendly, right? So if I go over here and search for it, and BlockVault, and you install it. So once I activate it, it's going to open a setting over here, and this is going to take me to an external site, right? So yeah, it's going to tell me I already have my credentials here. And if I go here and visit the dashboard, it's going to open this URL over here, and this is where my stuff is. So I have to click the reconnect thing. No, I'm going to do manual. No. I want to auto installation, right? Okay, so as you can see, this is all done. I'm sorry this failed, but this is all done through here. So you're gonna manage everything from outside of it. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but personally, I prefer to have it everything inside my WordPress dashboard, and it's gonna tell me how many sites I have, if I have it backed up, if I don't have it. Currently, I have it disconnected because I think I deleted the plugin or something. So the thing is, you can have that here, and then you can just migrate it whenever something happens. So again, this is not a free solution. It's a paid solution. It's something that you're going to have to put some money into it if you want. And I mean, I just wanted to list this option because it's one of the most popular ones. You have also this one, which is free to a certain extent. Let me go. Let me delete this. You know what? I'm just going to leave all of them there. And I'm going to go over here, back up, and it's where are you? Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Oh, it's weird. Yeah, it is this one. They changed the eagle. So it's this one. This one is really complete for a free version. The thing is, again, it's the scaling, the balance of things. It's incredibly hard to use. You're going to have to configure a lot of things, and you're going to have to do a lot of manual work with it. So let me activate this and save your database, WordPress XML export. So what you basically need to do is you need to create your jobs in order for them to run automatically every day. So check the installation, let's check it. So everything is good. My WordPress version, everything looks good, right? I get no red warnings. But the thing is, I have to go here and create a new job. Like this, add a new job. And this is going to be like my backup. So you create the job, and this job is, what exactly is this job of? Is it a database, file backup, WordPress XML export, install plugin list, and check database tables? So again, what do I want to back up? Do I want to back up my database, my files, and WordPress XML? So yeah, these are like the essential files. I usually put the plugins, I leave them out because I can download them again, I can configure them again, and I can do that work all over again. So in here, you are going to put the archive name. Again, you have to play with these replacement patterns and do it yourself so that each number is unique. What is the archive format? Do I want it as a zip file? Yes. Where do I want this stored? Again, do I want to back it up to Dropbox? Do I want to back it to FTP? Do I want to do it as an S3 bucket? What do I want to do with it? So if you can see that compared to Updraft, this has fewer options to back up, like for example, the Microsoft one or the Google Drive one, okay? Again, send email with logs only when errors occur during job execution. It's important that you have that. You can schedule this. How do I want to do this? So again, this is, like I said, it's really difficult, or it's a little bit cumbersome to use because it's using WordPress cron, and this is a little bit of a technical term. And this is a technical term, and you're like, what is a cron? So basically, it's an automated job that runs every X amount of time. So in here, you're setting up that cron job, so to speak. So do you want to do it monthly, on when? What hour? Do you want to do it weekly? Do you want to do it daily? So you specify that stuff. This is just the basic. God forbid the advanced. Oh my God. So the advanced is a little even harder to use. So again, you just configure this and you save this. Now, if you look at it from my perspective, this is a lot more cumbersome to configure. So it's not as cool as Updraft, where I can just say, oh, I want it daily, I want it 2 times, and I want you to retain so much stuff. So you have to do the same with the backup. Which tables do you want to have? So these are all the WordPress tables that I currently have for my WordPress installation. And what is the file name? Do I want to compress this? Same with the files. Which directories do I want to use? exclude, you have to configure a lot of things. I mean, it's really granular in the way that it offers you a lot of choices. Like you can back up all your themes or just a theme that you're using. So you have a lot of control over it. But again, it's something that you need to configure a lot. And this may not be your cup of tea. But again, it's out there. It's up to you if you want to go for it. And once you do it, you just hit save changes and it should take care of that. Okay. The second one is called all-in-one WP migration. Now, this one I use a lot when I am working on new projects. So let's say, for example, I'm working with a new client and he's a new client and he already has an existing site, right? And he comes to me and says, listen, I have this problem. I need you to solve this. I need you to do this for me. And I, as a developer, work locally. I work on my local computer. So I love this plugin because I can copy his site and just put it on mine and then start working from there. And once I'm done, I'll take the copy and put it back on his site. So it's really a cloning tool. Okay. So the cool feature about this is that, let me see if I can, it's not going to find a WP migration like that. Let's do it like that. So it's this one over here, right? It's this one. So it's really like it's a duplicator. It allows you to duplicate this website over here. So I absolutely love this when it comes to those scenarios, when I need to copy a site, I need to clone it, I need to export. So I go into the client site and I export it. And you can export it as a file. So this will do a custom file. It will do a custom file for this particular plugin. And when I import it, it's going to ask for the same file. So again, it's a really cool way of backing up a site from cloning a site from one way to the other. I've actually never used it as a backup solution because I kind of go with Updraft because I feel comfortable. I feel very comfortable doing the manual stuff myself, like importing the media files, importing the database, and then importing the content myself in case I get compromised. But in this scenario over here, it's a really automated solution where you just take a snapshot of your website and you put it back on the other location should you need to do it. Okay, so this takes a while. Now, what is the downside of this? The downside of this is that it has a maximum amount of server memory limit. So for larger sites, it's going to allow me to export it, but it's not going to allow me to import it. So you're going to have to get the pro version. So as you can see, this website weighs 205 megabytes. So if I download this file, you see this extension, that WPRess. So that's like a custom extension that they use in order to export and import that file. So I'm going to close that over here. And you can, again, it has the same options as before, but this is probably like an add-on. Yeah, it's an add-on. So because they need to make money as well, right? I mean, everybody needs to make money. So you can use these as extensions. Wow, that's really pretty. So you can use this as extensions. And again, it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. The file is probably the free one, and FTP, is it free? Oh my God, it's not. So it's $99. So again, I use this solution a lot when I need to clone sites. So once I'm done, it's not done yet. I go into the import on the other side, right? So let's say I exported on the client. Now I want to import it, and I just drag that file here, and it's gonna import everything, my users, my plugins, my media files, absolutely everything. So I absolutely love that. But here is the downside: 64 megabytes. So how can I increase maximum upload site? I can do that if I click on this and follow the tutorial in order to do that, because you're going to have to update your htaccess file in order to do so. So you're going to go inside your hosting provider using FTP, and you're going to go into your htaccess file and change this and just copy and paste this and increase this to whatever it is that you need. You can also do it via your wp-config file. Again, you can do that. FTP, it's pretty simple. You go over here, and like for example, let me go here, transmit. Where is GreenGeeks? It's here. So you go over here, and you go to public HTML, and then you go to WP config. So it's this file over here. You open that. Let's open it with a text editor. And you just copy and paste this into this. You do it anywhere you want to. You can just go ahead and paste that and save it and increase these file sizes to what you are going to need. So again, you can do that manually if you want, or like they kindly suggest, you should just get unlimited and pay for the fee and do that for yourself. They also offer a backup solution. Like I said, it's not a solution I've used a lot because again, I don't know. I didn't see like the frequency of that. Like I couldn't see anything that I could actually time it and say, okay, I wanted to do it X amount of days or X amount of times. So, I mean, to do this manually every day, I mean, come on, it's not that great. So this is just a solution I use when I need to clone something, right? The last one is Duplicator. It's really the same. It follows the same principle. Let me stop this because, let me stop this. It's Duplicator. It's also the same. It has a pro version. And as the name implies, you duplicate your site from one side to the other. Okay, so you go duplicate it like this. And you open it. Again, very popular. And you go ahead and activate it. And where are you? You're over here. So again, it's a create new package. It follows the same principle as the all-in-one WP migration. You are creating in essence a package, and you have that wrapping file up there. And what it does is when you want to import it, you go ahead and you see your packages here, and you just import that package. Okay, so it follows the same principle as all-in-one WP migration. I just never use this one. I much prefer the other one. The reason I have that is because I have the pro version. I have the pro version over here. So it's the extension. I have the unlimited extension, so I can work around with that, and I absolutely love that. Okay, so I think that's it as far as plugins is concerned. I just want you to know that in the end, again, what do you look for when it comes to a plugin solution? You want to look for a full site backup. Definitely. You want to have the option to go full. You can go full or less, but you can't settle for only less. I don't know if what I said makes sense. I mean, the full is everything, but I also have the option of not going full should I want to. But at least give me the full so I can choose what I want. That's more or less what I recommend. Always go with one that has a full site backup solution at the very least. The second option, you need to absolutely schedule your backups. So this is why I loved UpDraftPlus. You can schedule them and you can set it and forget it and you have it. 3, off storage. I mean, we are pretty secure at GreenGeeks. We're a very reliable hosting company, but again, it's a principle, a good practice to not store it where your WordPress site is. So I definitely recommend to do it off storage. Like I said, you can go with Google Drive, you can go with Dropbox, or you can even go with Microsoft Azure. I mean, the combination of UpDraftPlus and the Azure, the OneDrive option for $15, that seemed pretty reasonable to me. So with $15, I can have something up and going, and I'm building on top of my Office subscription that I have. The fourth option is fast and easy. I mean, you saw some of them, they were really cumbersome to configure. So I much prefer stuff that is fast and that is easy, because that allows me to just set it and forget it, okay? The fifth is customize. Do I want to plugins, theme files? Do I want to exclude certain directories? I want to have certain control as to what can I back up and what can I not. It's important for me to choose because not all clients are the same. So if I am a developer, I just need the text and database. But if I am transferring it from a client and I'm doing this for a client and he is not very tech savvy, I prefer to have a full site backup and him paying for the solution of storing it elsewhere. Migrate, again, do you want to migrate the website or not? Do you want to clone it? For example, for this project that I have installed right now, I want to migrate that because once I am done with this project, I am just going to use the all-in-one WP migration, and I'm just going to grab that stuff and put it on the other side, and in like 10 minutes, I'll have the site up and running and I've migrated it completely. Rollback, can I go back in time with it or not? It has to do with the scheduled backups. Can I go back, yes or no? And I don't know why I did automatic backups twice. I don't know, but still, it's scheduling and automatic. They should be the same. It's really important that you keep this in mind. Okay, and that's it for backups. So now we are going to go and say, so my site got hacked. What should you do? First thing, stay calm. You gotta stay calm. You gotta stay relaxed. With this, I know it's really difficult because a lot of emotions come up in scenarios like this. I've dealt with so many of these contingencies where clients absolutely scream to others who have cried. People lose their nerves when it comes to this stuff, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a very traumatic experience considering what you have invested in it. So, because I'm going to mention the woman that cried. She had an online store, She had an online store, all her transactions, all her customers, her database, her subscription list, everything was lost, And you're like, you feel really bad because it's a lot of years' work. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of love put into that for that to suddenly be gone. It's a really traumatic experience. And trust me, you gotta stay calm because in moments like these, you gotta think straight. You gotta come up with a plan as to what to do. So the first thing I absolutely recommend, I don't know if you're gonna remember me if it happens, God forbid it doesn't, but the first thing you need to do is stay calm. You gotta stay calm. Okay. The second thing is, I would say, put the site in maintenance mode. Okay. So you can put the site in maintenance mode so that people don't know that you have been hacked. Okay. So it's good that you do that because if you do so, it's a bad rap to see your site down, or to see your site change from selling flowers to I've seen it happen to this site written in Arabic and having these weird videos all over the place. And you're like, okay, what happened to my site? So put your site in maintenance mode. You can do that either with a plugin if you have access to the site, or you can do that via your functions file. If you don't have access to any of this, then you need to contact your hosting provider saying, listen, my site got hacked. I need you to take it down. So we are most likely able to do so for you. We're going to wipe the thing out for you, and we are going to do that for you. And luckily for you, if you're a customer of ours, you have the option of installing WordPress in a heartbeat. So if you are locked out, if you cannot get into your site, if your FTP has been compromised, if everything has been compromised, you need to contact us first so that we can reset your passwords. We can, reset the devices you've logged in from, and we can do like a fresh wipe. And then you can go ahead inside and install WordPress automatically using our dashboard wizard tool. So, but if you have access to your site, if you can get into your WordPress dashboard, put the site in maintenance mode. You can use a plugin for that, or you can use custom code to do so. I'm not going to do the custom code because I don't want to get too techy about it. The second thing you need to do is you need to become a detective, and this is why you need to stay calm, because you can't be a detective and not be calm at the same time. So you gotta be a detective. You gotta be cool. So you gotta locate the hack. So can you log in? Can you log into your WordPress dashboard? Yes or no? Are you getting redirected somewhere else when you go to your website? Do these Arabic letters come up all over your website with videos, or I don't know, or is your website full of kitties, of cat images. Is your stuff changed? Has your site changed or not? Are you getting a lot of visitors? Like, is your site incredibly slow? Like, it comes to a crawl and you cannot even click on anything. Is it or is it not? How does the site look? Like, again, kitties or no kitties? Does it contain illegal links? Like, for example, if you get in and you see these weird links like buy flowers online or buy, I don't know, buy our stuff here, or get redirected for free internet for life, or get Bitcoins at $1 each. How does the site look? How does it behave? Has Google marked your site as insecure? So are you getting, if you come from Google and you click on the link, do you get that huge red warning from Google saying that this site has been compromised? Check your plugins. If you can log in, check your plugins. Are all the plugins that you had still there, or are there new ones? Check the theme. Does your FTP work? So these are all good things to check on. The first thing I would also do, even though it kind of goes against putting the site in maintenance mode, I prefer to just put the site out there and inspect it myself. So usually what I do is I change the enabling errors of it so I can actually see what is going on. So to do so, I just go here and I go to let's say you can access your website using FTP, or you can get in via cPanel. So I'm going to go here, and I usually change this. You have to go to this file. This is a special file WordPress uses, and you go all the way down, and it says WP debug. You change this to true, and then you just save the file. Okay, you're going to save that, and what it does is that WordPress is going to it's basically going to give you the errors. It's going to give you the lowdown of what's wrong, if something is wrong, right? So if I go over here and I go to this site and load it, well, in this case, this site has no errors, right? It has no errors. But let's say I am going to break something. I'm going to break something, right? Let's break something. So I'm going to go over here and change this one. I'm going to break this deliberately, and I'm going to omit this. So this should break my site. And I'm going to go over here, and now you see this and you're like, okay, what is wrong here? What happened? So when you enable errors, what it does is, and let me clear the cache. The thing is, this didn't work because I have Lightspeed cache. And let me revert this. Whoop, let me change that, and let me disable. I have to disable it because since the site is cached, I think it's not working. Here it is. So I'm going to deactivate this. Okay, cool. So, and now I'm going to redo this, and I'm going to save that. And weird, it's giving me a blank screen. I have to check on that, because what it should happen is that it should give me an error of what is going on. It should give me the error right here. I can't see it. I'm just seeing, I'm looking at a blank screen. It's weird. Okay. So when you do that, it should give you an error of exactly where it is. So you can pinpoint that error and say, oh, okay, this is what's going on with my website. Let me see if I can just go ahead here and themes and Astra. And I'm just going to rename this to style this and see what happens. So basically, no, it's not. Okay. So basically, when you enable that, it's going to give you the errors, and it's going to tell you, yes, the error is online here, it's going to be online there, because you can actually see, like, for example, if it's a plugin, it's going to give you the directory of where the plugin is. And you can say, this plugin is giving me an error. So when you are in detective mode, you can go ahead and say, okay, maybe I should just disable this plugin. So usually when I see that my site doesn't work and it gets compromised, one of the first things I do is I log the errors and I can see what the error is. And then I go ahead and I go to my plugins and I just rename these guys. I start renaming them because if the site works and everything is cool, everything is as good, you know the error is in a plugin. You know an error is in a plugin. So you start discarding them one by one. So let's say I renamed them all and the site works. So I know for a fact that the error is somewhere in one of those plugins. So what do I start to do? I start naming them back correctly one by one. And I start checking for the site to see if it works or not. If it works, it means that's not the plugin. But as soon as I see that the site doesn't work, you're like, aha, so the site is not working because of this plugin. This plugin contains something that is breaking my site or it's getting my site compromised. So you should immediately remove that plugin or do some research and say what the issues are so that you can go ahead and say, okay, definitely a plugin and definitely this is the problem. So it's a good way that you can actually locate the hack because this way you know what the extent of the damage is, okay? So check the theme as well. Check the theme. Can you change themes? If you change themes, does the site work? I mean, don't expect it to look right, but does the site work? Do you see that those small kittens and those weird links everywhere? If the answer is no, most likely it's the theme. So again, you gotta be detective here. And you got to know. Again, if you can't log in, this is something way serious. And this is something that no matter what plugins you have or not, you are completely compromised. So if you are locked out and you cannot log in because your password doesn't work and your email has been changed, chances are you've been completely hacked. Okay. So it's important for you to know exactly where your hack is. Okay. So again, can you log in? Are you being redirected? Can you log in via FTP? Can you log into the dashboard? Those are the things that you need to know. And always keep in mind, even if you've located the hack and say, okay, it's a plugin, make sure that you do follow users. Like, for example, that you can log in as your user, you can log in as other users that are using your website, and so forth and so forth, because you need to be really, really thorough about this. The third option, I've mentioned this before, contact your hosting company. Be upfront about it and say, listen, I got hacked. I mean, we as a hosting company deal with this. We have a team for that. We have an abuse team for that. And what we do is we monitor stuff for you. We have really, really cool gadgets and stuff that we can actually give you an even better scenario of what is going on with your site. So don't be afraid of reaching out to your hosting company or to us and say, listen, something's wrong with my site. I need help. Like I said, we have a new tool that we can run this for you in the meantime, but we are rolling this anytime soon. And what this tool does is it's gonna reset your users. It's gonna reset your database. It's gonna fix your database. It's gonna do all the maintenance stuff behind the scenes so that it can fix your website. And chances are it will likely do the job. So again, reach out to us and we will be more than happy to help you out. If we can't fix this for you, if the tool can't fix this for you, again, chances are that good hosting companies have seen these issues before, and I'm sure they can help you out and say, listen, it looks like you have an error here or here or there. We recommend you to fix this. Okay. The fourth option thing to do is scan your website completely. Like there's tools out there that you can do that. You can do this via a plugin. More on this later, but for now, I would mention, and we saw this on the previous webinar, WordFence, Malcare, Securi, and iThemes, they all have scanning capabilities. So let's say, for example, that you do have access to your website, okay? So let's say you do have access to your website, you just go ahead and install a plugin that does the job for you. So to give you an example, malware. So if I go malware over here, oh, right, I have to put a new one. If you go malware over here, malware, you have these options, right? So You have WordFence. WordFence is pretty big. They're a huge contributor to the WordPress community. They have a scanning tool, and they will help you find any issues that they will see. Of course, again, like all WordPress companies, plugin companies, they're a freemium model. They offer some stuff for free, but the other ones you are going to have to pay. So if you activate this plugin, hold on, no, I'm saying no thanks. And you go to WordFence over here, you have the scan option here. So you go ahead and you just scan your website and see what the problem is. So where is it? Where is it? So right now, I'm going to start a new scan. Okay, and this is going to take a bit, but it's going to basically tell me what issues my current WordPress installation had. So if you've been hacked, chances are it's going to tell you, where exactly is there a vulnerability, or if there is a malware injected in your code somewhere else. So right now, everything looks good except for this. This is because I have a screencast directory. So WordFence is telling me, hey, I don't recognize this directory, but this is a directory that I actually placed. If you go over here, you can see that over here. It's this directory here. I usually use this to upload videos and stuff of the like. So WordFence is pretty thorough about it, and it's telling me, hey, I'm seeing this, I'm not liking this, and what do you want me to do with it? It's really low, so I'm going to mark it as fixed. But again, the key thing here is for you to find a suitable plugin that you can actually use to scan your file. So WordFence is one. And let's wait for this to finish because there's a lot to go. Okay, cool. And vulnerability, it's probably going to tell me that some plugins or my themes are not updated. Okay, no, cool. All right, looks good. So I look good, but chances are you might not if you get hacked. So WordFence is one plugin that can do the job. Another one is Malcare. So if I go over here and go to I just type in malware, and it's going to open this one, Malcare. Let's install it. We have this one from WPMU Dev, again, also big. And I'm going to activate this. And this way, I know I'm getting a lot of plugins, but and Malcare over here, I think Malcare is also exactly. So this one I have it not. Let me go. The site is not registered. Where are you, Malcare? Okay, settings, account details. Disconnect. I am connected. So this is the same people as BlockVolt. Again, this is software as a service, and this allows you to scan. If I go to my dashboard, the thing is I don't have it connected. Don't have it registered. I don't know why I unregistered it, but let me disconnect. And let's connect. Connect a new account. I agree. Submit. Oh, right. And Berukau. It's okay. And hit submit. And again, this is going to take a while. And this is going to tell me if there's any problems with it. Again, free versus paid. They can scan it for you, but you can't. They won't clean it for you unless you get the premium stuff. So I remember why I canceled it is because it was taking too long, and obviously I didn't want you guys to sit here whilst it loaded, right? So again, it does the job. It scans the website for you, and it tells you what's wrong with it. But let me go back, and now let me add a new one. Let me add Sukuri. Sukuri is also a plugin that does the job for you. And again, the key thing here is if you know you've been compromised, make sure you scan your website completely so you know the detective part, you know exactly where it is. Okay? Let's activate. Did it? Yeah. Okay. And where are you, security? Here you are. So you go to your dashboard, and Sucuri is going to tell me right about here, because it's checking for it, right? It's going to check for it, and it's going to tell me if everything is good to go. Again, this is going to take a while, but it's going to appear right here. It's going to tell me right here if there's something wrong with it. At this point, it's here. So it's going to tell me any issues that I have. So it tells me that my site is clean, no malicious iframe, no this, not a block list. Everything looks good, but I have this WordPress core files were modified. Does not include a broken file on your installation. Please use the server-side scanner. So it's telling me that I have this problem over here, this file over here, the htaccess.bk. So if I am a detective, I am saying, I'm sorry. If I'm a detective about it, I'm looking at the htaccess file and I'm looking at this .bk. My initial hunch is that this is a backup file. This is a backup file, an htaccess backup file. So I need to make sure that's actually there. So I'm going to go here, and I can't see the htaccess file because it's an in file. But if I go to window over here, or I think it's view, show invisible files, it's going to open that for me. But I still can't see it. See, this is my htaccess file, but I can't see that file over there. Okay, so right now I'm a little bit weary about it because I'm like, okay, where's this file at? Okay, I'm assuming I can reverse. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now because otherwise the detective thing is gonna leave me it's gonna take me a while to get to the bottom of it. But again, it looks a little bit fishy to me. Why do I have this file with this extension? And the date is April 13th, which is today. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna leave that as is. So the other one that does this job is the iThemes, iTheme security. So I go over here and I just type in iThemes, this, and it's going to open that and install it. And all right, and voila, and let's activate that. Let's see. Okay, cool. And I think security, and you go over here and you hit the security check option. So again, it's going to do the scan for you, and it's going to be thorough. Enable that, and you secure site, and basically it does a behind the scenes check to make sure that your website checks out properly. So right now it's telling me your site supports SSL. Redirect all HTTP pages is highly recommended. Again, this is something minor. This is something if I want to activate network brute force protection. What it basically means is, remember when I told you guys that if the site was behaving slow, well, I could be under, my site could be under a brute force attack. What it basically does is it's like a gazillion robots trying to access my website. And that brings my website to a crawl because my server can't handle so many visitors at once. So if that's the case, you have to take measures into it, and you need to contact your hosting provider or us and tell them, listen, I'm under a brute force attack. Can you guys help me? And we'll take the necessary measures to help you guys out. But everything else checks okay. So again, that's what a scanning your site via plugin will do. It will give you a bird's eye view if there's something wrong, so you can have even more options to locate the hack and know exactly what the problem is. The fifth thing, restore. This is optional. This is optional. I personally think it's a safe bet because if you start from scratch, chances are you're going to wipe out whatever problem there was. So usually I just restore my website if I feel I've been compromised, especially if my users have been compromised and if the site is particularly small. If the site is not small, then I would perhaps advise against restoring the website. because it's too big, there's too many variables, and some stuff might not work when it comes to putting it online. But if your site's particularly small and you just want to get rid of it and start afresh, you can restore your website and take it from there. The sixth thing I would definitely do is change passwords, change all my passwords. So the tool that we are doing here at GreenGeeks is going to do that for you. But if you want to do it manually, you can definitely do so. So what would I change? I would change the database password, I would change the user passwords, and I would change my salts. So what do I mean by this stuff? So basically what I mean is I want to go to greengeeks.com and I want to log in. And I want to go, Berukau. And I want to go to my cPanel over here. I want to go to my cPanel over here. Now, this is really important. You have to be really, really careful about this because it's when you change this, your WordPress site might break. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to go to my SQL databases over here. I want to change my password. And I go over here, and where can I change my password? Add new user, current users, change password. So you go over here and you change your password. Okay, so make sure it's really strong password. So you hit the password generator, you copy that, and you just paste that here. You paste this here, and then you paste that here. So once you hit change password, the WordPress site is going to fall. It's going to break because it needs the password, right? It needs to know where the password is. So to do that, to change the password correctly, like once you change the password and to update WordPress with that password change, you need to log in via your FTP file manager, or you can go ahead and do this. You can go back into your cPanel. You go home. You can go back into your cPanel and you can go into your file manager over here. This is the same, it's the same thing really. And you go to public HTML, which is the same as this one. And you go to, oh, here's the file. Hey, here it is, you see it? Oh, yeah, so I can just delete it. Let me view it first. I want to view it. It looks okay. So it's nothing malicious. Is there. The reason I say this is because I've developed a lot, so I can see the rules and I can say that everything looks okay. So nothing bad is injected there. So, but going back to what I was doing is you go to the WP config file over here and you hit the edit button. You hit the edit button and it's going to tell me, are you sure? You should back up the original file. Yes, you should. I mean, if you want to go ahead and do it, but I'm just going to hit OK, edit. And this is going to go over here. And what I'm interested in is this one over here, the DB password. So whatever you change over here, whatever you change over here, if you go over here, and then you go change password here. So if you change this password to this, make sure you copy that and paste this over here. And once you do that, you save the changes, and that should do it for password, as far as password is concerned. Salts, while we're at it, if you go over here, you see all these salts, you see all these weird things. You're like, what is this? Okay. It's just authentication unique keys for WordPress, and you can change them at any time you want. You can go ahead and do this right here. If you copy and paste this URL that WordPress is giving you here, you go ahead, you open this in a new tab, and oh, never mind, sorry. You go over here and you just copy this. You just copy all this, because if you notice, every time you refresh, new keys are generated, right? Let me close this so you guys can take a look. Every time I refresh, you see the gibberish, all these gibberish change. So these keys are unique. So you can go ahead and copy this. You can go to your config file and just go over here and paste it. And like that. And you change your keys just like that. Okay, so again, something that you should do when you get compromised. And the last thing that you need to change, if your users are compromised, right? If your users are compromised and or if you can't even log in and you need to log in and you're like, how can I log in? Well, you go over here, let me close this, let me close this, and let me close this, and let me go back into my dashboard. there's this special database thing called phpMyAdmin, and you click this over here, and this is going to open this. This is going to redirect you to your PHP admin. And let me close this again. And you have that. And here is the databases that you have installed for your particular WordPress installation, for your particular hosting account. In this case, I only have one because I only have one site running. So you click on that, and it's going to open a bunch of these things. Don't get scared. It's a lot of tables. It's a lot of information. The one you're interested in is the one that ends with users. So if we scroll over here, you see it right here. So you go here, you click on that, and I only have one user, right? I have only one user. It's me. This is my email, and you can see this password. It's a gibberish thing, but what you hit is this little icon here, and then you hit the pencil. You go ahead and hit the edit button, and what I'm interested in is changing the password. Now, you don't go and say my new password like this, because that is not going to work, okay? What you need to do is you need to select a function. Hold on, let me close this. You need to select the function called MD5, which is this one over here, and then, oh, never mind. This is the wrong one. User pass, right here. You select the MD5 over here where it says user pass, you put the MD5 and then you put your password. So whatever I want to change this is my new password. This is my new password. So what this will do is once I hit the go button, it's going to insert that password, that this is my new password, but it's going to change that to gibberish because it's going to use this function called an MD5 function. It's going to encrypt the password for me, because in the end, it's a safety feature that databases have, is that all of this information gets scrambled so that you can't actually see it when you log in, because you should never put live passwords inside the server, neither live passwords nor actual credit card numbers. I think that's even illegal, but you should never do that, and you should always encrypt that information, because that way, when someone compromises your database, they can't get to it. They can't see it unless they brute force this and they guess what this encryption is. But that is insanely difficult. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because I don't want to get log out. So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to tell me, do you want to leave the page? I'm going to say yes. Again, you could go ahead and be even more cautious and change your user logins and all that stuff. Like, for example, your user login, you can change that to something else. And I don't know why I can't scroll here. Oh, it's because I have this as 120. No, oh, that's odd. I can't see myself up here. It's okay. Here, oh, here I am. So you change your user login, you change your nice name, and the display name can stay as is. You can even go ahead and change the IDs to be even more certain, because this is really a flaw that WordPress. It's not a flaw, but it's an obvious hack in the way that always the first username that you do with WordPress is going to start with 1, because when you start creating stuff, it has to do with database and keys. But basically, it's a sequential number. As I create more users, this number starts to rise. So if I create a new one, it's going to be an ID 2 and so forth and so forth. So it's needless to say, the first user, the most important user, will most likely be an ID of 1. I mean, if you want to go ahead and be even more cautious, you can change this to 18. Just make sure it's a unique number. And you just change the nice name, change this and change that. And once you're good to go, you hit the go button. I'm going to say no, because I'm okay with it. But yeah, you do this for all, you do this for all your users to know for a fact that, that you have changed them all. Now, this scenario of changing your users using your PHP admin is in the event that you can't even access your dashboard, like you can't get in here. You can't get in here, because if you can, I mean, you just can go ahead here and change your users and just delete them or edit them and just change the passwords over here. I'm giving you this other scenario because that is the more critical or dangerous scenario on which you have actually been locked out yourself. Okay, so yeah, I mean, if not, you can go ahead and just change that stuff over here. Okay. Next item. We already changed your passwords. But once you're back on, let's say you're back online and everything looks good, and my first recommendation is do our previous webinar and do the stuff that listed there. So again, the previous webinar was more about, it's preemptive type of thing. It's to minimize the risk of getting hacked. Okay, so make sure that you follow those practices that were listed there. They're pretty cool. They're pretty important. Update, remove, and change. So make sure you update WordPress. Remove users that you don't need. Change users that definitely don't have need access, and make sure that you come up with new stuff in order to safeguard your website. Lock things down. What do I mean by that? This is something I didn't do in the previous webinar, but I will definitely list it here. I would use two-factor authentication. This is a feature I like to use a lot. Basically, what it means is that you need a device. You need a device to log in. Aside from your password, from your username and password, you're going to need a code that's going to be supplied via a device that you will have access to. So this will definitely lock things down even further, and you enforce this on either administrators on your site or on all users on your website. So it's a two-factor authentication. Banks use it a lot with tokens, or they use it, with whatever they use. So it's always good to do that. Some of the plugins I listed previously offer that solution. I think WordFence or Secure offer it. But if not, you can go ahead and do it yourself. So you can go ahead and go over here, and let me go. And you add the new one. Oh, wait, I think I already had it. Let me go back. No, I deleted it. Okay, sorry. So let me add a new one. And I'm just going to type two-factor. I'm going to type two-factor. So WordFence has it. This is very popular, of course. This one is also pretty neat, even though it doesn't have as many installations as it should, but it's pretty. It's a pretty cool one. So once I hit the activate, it's going to follow me to a wizard, and let me activate this. Let's see if I get the wizard. The thing is, I was fiddling with it yesterday. I'm not sure it's gonna do this for me. So my website is a little slow. It's because I have so many plugins installed. So let's get started. I'm gonna get started. I want to choose a method. One-time code generated with your app of choice. This is the most reliable and secure one. So I prefer this one the most because the device is going to be with me. The email, I don't know. I'm not much of an email guy, so I prefer to use a one-time code generated with your app of choice. You can use the email if you like, but I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to set up the method. The method is going to be this little QR code of choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my phone, and I'm going to use first of all, I need to get some internet because I disabled it. I'm going to need some internet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, and let me stop sharing my screen so you guys can see. Okay, so you guys can see me. So I have my phone over here. And I have this authenticator app. It's this app over here. So I'm going to hit the pencil icon and hit the plus one, I'm sorry. And it's going to tell me to scan a barcode. So I'm going to scan that barcode, and I'm going to go back into my WordPress installation. And now let me hit the screen so I can share again. Okay. And I'm going to scan this barcode using that app, right? So once I do that, it should open the service for me. I'm not going to go back into stop sharing, but you could see, I think you could see me as I speak. So you have that, and you have the fourth one. And once you're good to go, you say, I'm ready. So please type a one-time code for your Google Authenticator app to finalize the code. I'm just going to put my password. I know it's not the best, but it's just a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going to do it like this. Faithful to my profession, 2K1. I'm going to do something like this, something that's going to be a little bit hard, and close this. Okay, and I'll go over here, and I'm going to finish this. What is the requested format? Oh, I'm so silly. You're supposed to put the password that the service gave you, right? So I'm going to put the number, in this case, it's 356 okay, once that's done, your website just got more secure. You have enabled two-factor, just afterwards. You can exit this widget or continue to configure this playing with settings. Go. Close widget, I'll configure them later. Okay. So, if everything's all right, let me log out. And let me log in. So it's logging in. And now it's going to ask me for the authentication code. And this is the authentication code that I will have inside my machine. So it's 979572. And I'm going to authenticate. So now I've locked things down even further, because now I need these codes to log in. And if I don't have them, I can't get in. So this is a very cool feature. I think it's pretty easy to set up. It's really simple, and it helps you tremendously to lock things down. Okay, so make sure you do that. Another thing to do is to change your database prefixes. If you noticed, I think I closed it. No, I didn't close it. What I mean with that, it's this little WP418 underscore thing. By default, WordPress installs it as WP underscore. So this is a vulnerability, because attackers know beforehand that if your site is WordPress, chances are your table prefixes are going to be exactly like that. So they can inject malicious code into your site using the tables that they already know. So if you change this to something else, they can't reach the tables. So it's a cool feature to have. And there are plugins that do this. I would heavily recommend you to use a plugin, because it will take a lot of the work that it's going to be extremely delicate to do in order to do this automatically, as opposed to manually. The other thing that I recommend is checking your file permissions for your WordPress installation. Now, Filezilla, which is this one, it's an FTP client. I use Transmit because I like it, but Filezilla has this cool feature, and I'm going to log in. So basically what I'm doing is I'm logging in via FTP, the same as if I was logged in here. But Filezilla I like because it has this little thing over here. Okay, oh yeah, I'm already there. So it has this cool feature. Let me show you, let me scroll a little bit up. Has this cool feature where you can see the permissions over here. You see 0755. Now you can change this. These are called octet permissions, but basically these numbers represent what can you do with this directories and who can do this. So if you right click on this guy over here and you select the file permissions, so you will see as I toggle this, these numbers are changing. Okay, if I do like this, and like this, 777 is the most permissive permission, so to speak, that you can do with it. So basically, owners, group, and public can write, read, and execute stuff within those directories. Now, this is not very safe, and this is why WordPress recommends 0755 for directory. So you just right click over here. I'm not going to change it because mine's already set. Hey, bonus points for us at GreenGeeks because we do that thorough job, but some hosting providers don't. And if you're doing WordPress manually, chances are that you don't. So you want to check this box that says recurse into subdirectories, and you apply this to directories only. You hit the OK button, and this will scan and go in a recursive manner in order to change the directories to 0755. Now, I'm not going to do this because mine's already set to that. Now, if you notice, files are set to 0644. It's a different permission because files behave differently. So this permission is also okay. This number should be 0644 or 0640. So you can go ahead and do file permissions over here, and you can just change this to 0 like that. So what I'm saying is that the public cannot read, cannot write, and cannot execute these files. The public mean you or me. I can't go over the web and access this file directly. But the owner can. So who is the owner? Well, the owner is the user that's currently logged in, like, for example, a root or a cPanel user and so forth. Group is, again, a group, which users are under that group, and public is pretty much everybody. So I'm not going to change that either. The only thing I'm seeing here that perhaps could have a security tweak is the htaccess file. The htaccess file should be even more restrictive, and this should be set to 0600 like that. No group can do it. Only the owner can change and write and read stuff from it. But I'm not going to change it for now. I'm just going to leave it as is. And what else? And okay. Once you're back up, once your site is back online, make sure you back up using a solution you are happy with. Start doing that religiously. I'm sure you've learned your lesson and you will say, okay, this time I will definitely back up. I don't want to go over this again. And the last thing I recommend is get Google Search Console. Get Google Search Console is useful not only for SEO purposes, but also Google obviously is scanning your website. It's looking for stuff. It's looking for content. And they might also give you a heads up saying that, hey, your site has been compromised. You need to fix things and you need to fix them now. And you need to do so because if you are listed on search engines, Google will penalize you, and it's going to give you that big red warning saying that, hey, your site contains harmful stuff. And obviously, you might get the boot if you continue that extensively. And I don't know why. I guess it's luck out of my part, but always I do webinars. I usually don't time them to see how long it's going to take, but I am done with today's. So I'm really, really happy to have given this one. I sincerely hope that you guys have learned the importance of backups and more or less what to do should your site get compromised. And with that, I am ready for questions.
Thank you, Marco. There's a question in the Q&A.
Okay, let me read that. I'm going to read that question from, wait, my resolution. Hey, Phil, how are you? Good to see you. Can you use the backup for various sites, the premium one for 170? You could use it for multiple sites. Yes, you can. I think UpDraftPlus, let me see. UpDraftPlus Premium plus Premium. Let me check that out for you. Premium, UpDraftPlus. The gold package, let me see that. Yeah, the enterprise. Let me share my screen back. Share my screen. And let me zoom this in so that I don't need to change. So you see the enterprise over here? It says unlimited website. So oh, I didn't see the price. It goes down. Oh, I thought it was going up. I was like, wow, this is expensive. But no, the enterprise is for unlimited websites. The agency is up to 35. Business is up to 10. You know what? I think bang for your buck wise, I think it's pretty neat. It's a good price because if you think about it, I would either go with this one or with this one. And then you just build a client, the difference, or yeah, you build them a little bit and say, hey, listen, if you need to back up your site, it's going to cost you, I don't know, like $10 a year. So in that regard, you can even, make a little bit more cash because you can be like a middleman and say, hey, I'm going to sell you my security services where you're going to back up your stuff. I'm going to monitor your stuff, and you just use multi-licenses to sell your stuff out there. I think a guy who I've seen this do, he offers that, is Nathan. He's a WordCamp speaker, and he speaks a lot about the packages that you can offer as a web developer or as a freelance web developer to have some passive income. Why? Because you can just get one of these plans, like an agency plan, and you just resell that stuff to your customers as a bundle, a security bundle that you're going to offer them, saying, hey, listen, I can back your stuff up, I can monitor your site, I can scan it, I can do this, and you buy the pro versions that are multi-licensed, and you just sell that on top of making a little bit money on your own. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
There was a question that I think is not really related from Sibyl. It was at the beginning of the chat, asking what is
Luciana?
SSL.
Huh? Asking.
What is SSL? I know it's
Oh,
semi-related.
Sibyl Walker
Yeah,
Rupert
Sibyl.
asked, what is an SSL? An SSL stands for. Wow, that's a good question. Security server. Wait, I don't even know. SSL. Security socket layer or security server. Wait, I need to know this. Wow, I graduated and I forgot the name. That's security sockets layer, secure socket layer. There it goes. So I know the theory. I'm sorry, I just forgot the name. So it's secure socket layer. So basically, it's a principle of encrypting the information that goes from one point to the other. So if let's say I'm speaking with Anna over the phone, if I'm speaking with Anna over the phone and I'm saying words and she's saying words, we both hear the words right, okay, in English and plain understandable words. But let's say we use something called encryption, whereas whenever I speak, the voice, as it travels to Anna, gets garbled up, and it starts in this weird accent, this weird voice that you cannot understand what it is. So whoever intercepts that cannot know what I am saying to Anna. But Anna, since we are speaking back and forth, she has the decryption key. She knows the key of what that garble means. So when Anna gets it, she will unlock it. She will unlock the garble, and she will hear my voice thoroughly. So correctly, in a language that she knows and she can understand. So that's basically the principle of SSL, but with information that you send over the web. Well, what do I mean by that? When you when you hit the post button, when you are contacting on someone over the phone, when you are sending information, when you're receiving information, that information gets encrypted, and this way, people who can hack or monitor that information cannot know what that means. So that's basically what an SSL is. It's highly advisable to have one because you are safeguarding the information that gets sent back and forth between your server and your users. And especially if you have an e-commerce website, you cannot take credit card payments without it. And it's also, you rank, you get a little bit more bonus points with Google if you use an SSL. And that's about it.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I don't see any other questions.
Okay. Yes, it's an encryption. Yeah.
It's an encryption. Thank you so
Okay.
much. That was very, very detailed.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, but I didn't know the name so bad.
well, you used to call it SSL.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I guess if we don't have any other question, we are going to say goodbye to everybody and hope to see everyone at the next webinar. Look out for our emails and information on new upcoming webinars. They're always fun.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Marco and Anna.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, everybody. One last thing. I hope you guys still submit more topics. I really like this because I was like, that's really interesting. That's a great idea. And yeah.
Yes, please do. Send us suggestions, feedback.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Till next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.